A very good morning to you. You are watching Good Morning Uganda on UBC Television. My name is Chantal Olive Akandinda. Welcome to the show. Guess what? It is the 1st of November and well, we are clocking into the end of the year and I'm hoping that you are ready for these last 2 months. They are usually mad with a lot of madness, I should say. People driving the way they want, people reckless, and a lot of things happen. But I'm hoping that we get to see something different this year. I mean, let's grow, let's evolve, let's change. But it is November and I'm excited for this month. I don't know if anyone else is, but I hope you are. It is a new chance for us to do better and also double check on those resolutions so that we are able to tick off some and then start on the others. It's never too late to start. I hope you're having a lovely morning. It's a bit chilly in some areas, so just in case you peep through the window and it's getting a bit chilly, please do carry a sweater or a jacket or something that is going to help you keep warm. Also, sometimes it gets hot during the course of the day, so make sure you're not the person that will throw your luggage anywhere. You're able to keep it safe. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to survive through the day. Once again, you are welcome to the show. With me in studio is Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono and also Joram Paul Sonko. And Chirabo, good morning.
A lovely morning to you and of course our viewers. Thank you so much for waking up with us.
My question to you this morning, a very serious question to you this morning. You walked in with a concern and I'm sure that there is a viewer out there that feels like, that doesn't know what is happening, especially on that particular concern. So would you mind sharing your experience this morning?
Well, this morning I was messed up. I don't know if this is UNRA or KCCA. You know this stretch from Mukwano, if you come from Zambia, or if you're coming from Gaba. Now, immediately there is, what I call it, a flyover they are constructing, that white thing up, then there is Mukwano Industries there.
Yes.
Now, at night, they went and messed the road.
They dug up the...
They dug up everything that stretch up to where you have the red line. It is impassable. So if you
and now
can,
it has rained.
And it has rained. I spent 30 minutes to go through that, and there were trucks also parked along. Right. So they wanted, I think, to make it one way, but the digging of this old tarmac now is in the road. There are heaps and heaps. It has rained. It is so muddy that you can hardly maneuver. So if you can, when you reach at least Chibuli police station, there's that Chibuli police barracks,
yes,
or the CID headquarters. Now there's that road that you can take and you go up Chibuli, then you take another turn, at least you get out around that railway. Or you can go all the way via Chibuli Mosque, then you connect like you're going to Green Hill, then take that lane of Green Hill and drive through still to make it up to that railway. But it's like a short, I don't know, I passed there around 6 yesterday and everything was okay.
And it should have been communicated.
Now, coming at about 4:30, it is messy completely. With this VT is what? For you, please don't even dare.
Let's not attack
those low vehicles
because
if you have a hammer, if you have
you can pass through.
You can pass through, but if you dare.
JP Live, how are you this morning?
I'm well, and it's a new month, so definitely we have a lot of expectations for this one. I think this is the 11th month, and that means we are only left with very few days to welcome 2024. So if you're to look at it, this is a month of 30 days, the other had 31. So roughly we are running on 60 days to 2024, and I can't be more excited about the same.
You've really started the countdown.
Obviously, I've already started the countdown, but as you've actually mentioned something about the rains and the potholes and the level at which our roads are, especially in the Kampala metropolitan areas, you'll get to realize that it is now becoming a very serious, alarming issue. More so in these particular suburbs, which are actually connecting or leading to the city. To the city, yes. When you look at the Mukwano, like Chirabo has mentioned, look at, for example, those who come from Boyogere, Banda, those areas. Then we also have people coming in from Makindye. Well, the only good thing though is that away from Kampala, Some of those routes actually have good roads. People who actually taking Entebbe Road, those who take Busega, those who go deep in Buziga, some of those areas have good roads. It's actually around Kampala, or let's say places that are really close to the city that are messy. And the more it rains, it becomes very difficult to go through. Like Chiraba has actually mentioned, if you have a car that is actually really low, it becomes very difficult for you to maneuver.
Yes.
And even carbons around Banda are facing a very big issue to protect their vehicles because of this particular flooding in the capital. But anyways, besides that, good morning, Ugandans, and I wish you a happy new month of November. I'm Joram Paul Sonko. Many thanks for joining us today morning.
Great. Well, we can't go past that. Let's take a look at what is happening in our country, but also we'll be looking at what is happening internationally and as well later on in the press review. But for now, the local stories. And
I want to start with President Museveni, who has highlighted the importance of private sector in Uganda's socio-economic growth aspirations. He noted that the country is prime center of doing business and urged investors to inject more money into the economy. Museveni was opening the 4-point Sheraton 5-star hotel in Kampala. The Sheraton 4-point hotel, located in Lower Kororo, has cost the investor $40 million to set up and directly employs over 200 people. While formally opening its doors to clients, President Museveni noted the importance of facilities in Uganda's steadily growing hotel sector and hospitality. He also highlighted the benefit of a strong and resilient private sector in the social and economic growth aspirations of Uganda. Minister for Energy and Mineral Development, Ruth Nankabira, presented the Petroleum Supply Amendment Bill 2023 for the first reading. The move is to amend the Principal Act and initiate a stand to allow Uganda National Oil Company to source and supply petroleum products to the available licensed oil marketing companies in Uganda. Minister Nankabirwa drew arguments from the experience which has partly kept Uganda's hand tight for long while dancing to the tune of imported structures. When asked about the capacity of UNOC in handling this high project, the minister answered in affirmative. Despite the stage of legislation, UNOC is already in advanced stages after it negotiated a financing partner with Vito Bahrain AC, which will provide working capital and ensure competitive pricing of petroleum products. However, Minister Nankabira assured the public of the exit route in case UNOC acts in contrary. Nevertheless, if the legislation succeeds, Government of Uganda remains in active dialogue with the Kenyan government to ensure a smooth implementation of the shift in policy. Now moving to politics. After the chairperson of the Uganda Human Rights Commission said that she is not sure of existence of abducted and disappeared NUP supporters, National Unity Platform leadership in Parliament has decided to profile the families of these said missing persons. Opposition Chief Whip John Baptist Nambeshe said they still stand on their position of not returning to the House until government gives a clear response to their query. The opposition in Parliament has boycotted parliamentary proceedings for the 4th time, stating that government has not given or provided sufficient answers to their queries of abductions and disappearance of their supporters. Opposition Chief Whip John Baptist Nambeshe said that the opposition has had several meetings with the Deputy Speaker of Parliament over the matter, but in vain. He demanded for answers to considering their return to the House. National Unity Platform, however, has embarked on profiling the families of these missing persons. State Minister for Disability Affairs, Asom Helen, wants the public to use appropriate means of communication when passing information concerning HIV/AIDS to persons with different impairments. She was launching the translated version of the National Policy Guidelines on Ending Stigma and Discrimination among people living with disabilities to reduce the spread of the pandemic. Poor access to information about HIV/AIDS, especially among PWDs, is still a major bottleneck to ending the spread of the pandemic among persons with disabilities.
Well, that is it for the local stories. We cross over internationally and find out what is happening across different countries in the world. Now, Mohammed Abu Al-Kumsan, a broadcast engineer with Al Jazeera's bureau in Gaza, has lost 19 family members, including his father and 2 sisters, in Israeli air raids on the Jabalia refugee camp. In a statement yesterday, Al Jazeera denounced that what it called a massacre and an unforgivable act by Israeli forces. Al Jazeera vehemently condemns the heinous and indiscriminate Israeli bombing that has resulted in the killing of 19 family members of our dedicated SNG engineer, Mohammed Abu Al-Kumsan, the statement read. This unforgivable act during the Jabalia massacre claimed the lives of Mohammed's father, 2 sisters, 8 nephews and nieces, his brother's wife, and their 4 children, his sister-in-law, and 1 uncle. Still speaking matters Israel, humanitarian groups have denounced Israel's attack on Jabalia refugee camp, saying the deadly air raid should be a wake-up call to world leaders to secure a ceasefire in Gaza. The director of the nearby Indonesian hospital says at least 50 people were killed, including 19 relatives of an Al Jazeera staff member and many others wounded. A Palestinian health ministry spokesman warns that the Al-Shifa and Indonesian hospitals are hours away from running out of fuel to power generators. Dozens of injured Palestinians will be allowed to leave the bombarded enclave on Wednesday via the Rafah crossing to seek treatment in Egyptian hospitals, the border agency in Gaza says. The armed wing of the Palestinian group Hamas says it will release some foreign captives from Gaza in the coming days without offering more specifics. At least 8,525 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli attacks on Gaza since October 7th. Now, coming back to Africa, for months now, Zimbabwe has been battling to stem the spread of deadly cholera in its cities and villages because the country simply lacks clean water. If the water comes at all, it's often dirty. Regai Chibanda, a 46-year-old father of 5 from the sprawling township of Chitungwiza, told a news agency. Cholera, an acute diarrheal infection caused by consuming food or water contaminated with the bacterium Vibrio cholerae, can spread quickly in cramped and dirty conditions. It has become a kind of grim reaper to this Southern African nation. Back in 2008-2009, more than 4,000 went to their graves when the waterborne disease struck in what was already a frenzied and turbulent time. It reflected in imploding political and economic crisis when hyperinflation peaked at 80 billion% and heralded a historic power-sharing government that eventually got to grips with the situation. Now, away from that, we look at matters climate, and climate change will have serious and direct effects on human health, including a surge in the number of heart-related deaths, a new study has warned. Heat waves are already claiming lives and by the middle of the century, cardiovascular deaths could be more than double, the researchers warned. If no action is taken to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, deaths could triple. The researchers warn in the journal Circulation. The research is based on figures in the US, but effects will be felt worldwide. Lead study author, that is Samid Katana, assistant professor of medicine at the University of Pennsylvania, said climate change and its many manifestations will play an increasingly important role on the health of communities around the world in the coming decades. The magnitude of the percent increase was surprising. This increase accounts for not only the known association between cardiovascular deaths and extreme heat, but it is also impacted by the population getting older, Katana added. Now, that is it for climate news and what is happening across different countries in the world. And at this moment, we get to take a look at what is happening in our dailies here in the country, and that is with Jerome Paul Sonko.
And with our local dailies, the Daily Monitor has the Daily Monitor and the New Vision. I will start with the New Vision this morning. Chinese conned in fake sale of government oil farm is the headline with the New Vision today. Read about the same. Government takes over internship placements for teachers. How about that? School fire death toll rises to 7. The New Vision is giving you more details. Now, there's also a report on how CMI tracked Magara's suspected kidnappers, as President Museveni urges investors to report corruption. This was him launching the Sheraton's 4 Points hotel yesterday. Now, the Daily Monitor with the headline as well, 30% Ugandans have mental disorders. That is according to what the Daily Monitor is highlighting today. And in between the lines, the study found out that mental health care was low in public health facilities due to limited knowledge and skills in handling patients. Chabazinga wedding, more continue to offer money for this one. Now, US to scrap Uganda off AGOA list. Read about the same with the Daily Monitor. And then in the big interview, we will keep working with Ugandans. The new US envoy reveals, as in the Homes magazine, 7 years of disappointment as a condominium owner. More of the same with the Daily Monitor.
Well, thank you so much, Jerome Paul. You know, you mentioned something that made us laugh, not because it's funny. 30% of Ugandans battling with mental disorders. And I believe that is something that we need to actually pay attention to.
Sure thing.
Because at the end of the day, we are all affected. If I don't have a mental disorder and my neighbor has, we are going to be affected.
And 30% is quite a big number.
That's a very big number when it comes to the percentage.
The thing is, little are we doing when it comes to mental health? There's so much stigma. And when you talk about the 30% and a mental disorder, it doesn't mean that these are naked people on the streets throwing stones.
It could be your neighbor right next door.
This could be your neighbor. It's not yet just come to the climax of it, but it's in a process. And if this person doesn't get help, you know, there are some people you may say that is their character, it's their temper, but yet these people have a mental disorder
with something
that needs attention. We only go to the hospitals when the worst
when it's extreme
has
cases.
happened.
Right.
Yes.
Well, we can have that conversation over and over again, especially on mental health and mental disorders. Well, let's take a very short break and we'll be right back with our reel for the day. But we're leaving you with the inspiration song of the day from Zoe Wiz, Don't Give Up.
Teardrops just won't dry. They just won't dry. They just won't dry. Smiling in the crowd when all you wanna do is cry. You wanna cry. You wanna cry. Do you ever feel? Do you ever feel alone? Do you ever feel like there's just nowhere to go? When the world turns upside down and you fall into the ground and the ocean
of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
So this is my general perception. One, that this project entered in strategic areas of government, but that it has created a base for the now last mile strategy, which is the parish development model. And therefore this base that it has left will help us actually, and I'm sure we'll get better results in a Chole area and Ajumani when we are implementing the parish development model.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
A very good morning to you once again. Thank you for joining us. You're watching Good Morning Uganda on UBC television, and we are glad that you get to have conversations with us. You get to wake up with us, and I'm hoping that you are having a very wonderful Wednesday morning. It is the 1st of November. Just in case you need to be reminded, we are closing into the end of the year, and we've been able to discuss a number of things here on the show. We've been able to see a lot happening for this country. Now, this particular morning, we are going to be discussing matters politics, but commercialization of politics in particular. And we've seen a number of reports that have been coming out. We have seen some we have seen with our eyes. I mean, when it gets to election time, you will agree with me that we get to see a lot happening in terms of how much money is dished out. And usually during elections or even campaigns, they will tell you the money hasn't started being in circulation. Wait a little bit. For some reason, we always even anticipate these things. We always know how long the phases are going to take and all that. So it is believed, according to a study and a survey, that commercialization of politics, you know, is locking out the youth. And when you talk about the youth, you're talking about 75% of Ugandans being youth, and you're talking about the biggest percentage of these being locked out of politics. Please do note that politics contributes, it is an element that is in everyone's life. In a family, there is a structure that is politics. In a company, there is a structure of leadership that is politics. And in a country, the structure, of course, that is politics. Now, we get into the detail of how these, you know, how these factions and how all these elements feed into each other. But politics affects people socially, economically, financially, and even psychologically. So it is an element that we may not be able to get rid of. But if we are saying 75% of our Ugandans are a little away from politics because of commercialization, then maybe we need to rethink how we are running the politics. And this is for every individual. Now, according to findings, when it comes to, for example, to the 11th Parliament has 12.3% of parliamentarians aged between 35 and below in a country where 75% of the population are youth. Now, please do note, the bracket, when you're talking about the youth, you are talking about 35 and below. If you're above 35, I'm afraid you are not regarded as a youth. And so we are looking at it from that angle. 35 and below, you are... No, you're the youth. 35 and below, you are the youth. Then above 35, we are yet to find a very good term that is not going to affect the sensitivity.
Maybe young adults.
No, I don't think they are young adults, because now the youth are the ones who are regarded as young adults. Yes.
Now,
we are going to get a term going forward. We're going to get a term.
Middle age.
Okay, yes, I think let's go with middle age, because above that, when
because our lifespan, according to research, is that now a Uganda on average lives for 63 years. So if we say you've left the 30s, you're in 40, that's middle age.
Middle age, and in your 60s, you are regarded as a senior citizen.
Person or senior.
Yes, you're regarded as a senior citizen. So this is the discussion we are having, having known that, that we have the biggest percentage as youth in the country. And this is to you, Chirabo. How did we even get to this point where we're talking about commercialization of politics, yet our youth are not even in position, the biggest percentage, to be part of politics because of that very element?
Well, when I was reading this report, I got scared of some of the revelations that were coming out. Now, this report, what we're discussing comes from a public policy institute, that is PPI, Westminster Foundation for Democracy, and the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy. Now, listen to these interesting facts, that in Uganda for the 2016 general elections, both primary and general elections, in Uganda, on average, a person spent 465 million to run for parliament. On average, a person spent 237 million to run for LC5. Now, these institutions are credible, and they do a lot of funding, by the way, towards leadership in our country. How did we get here? I want to take us back in the days of CA, those that were there when we were coming up with our constitution. Now, one, we had had a long time where we didn't have serious elections. We were 1986, what happened? We came from the bush. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, a darling of the people then, was there. They tried to make things straight so that Munansiko kati afuuka president yomuronde. Now, we had to come up with our constitution. We had the Constituent Assembly, people like the Mike Sebalu, people like Haji Abe Mukwaya, people, and by then, people were looking for leaders. Politics was a bit new. So they wanted people who are going to come and have our constitution. They were, even a person would come and just ask for your vote. Both the person who was going to vote for you and he who was coming to ask for your vote had a common agenda. Now, because we were coming from hard times and we were all aiming at developing structures for our country. Remember, I was a very young boy. And in my constituency, we had, I think, Haji Abe Mukwaya and someone called, I think, Senon or something like that. Now, Haji Abe Mukwaya was a Bush War hero. The other one was a lawyer. One would think because we are going for CA, people would say the lawyer understands better. And the man would pass and say, "Banaye, tetugenda kubya kurana. Tugenda kola bago lya semateeka." By then I didn't even know what bago meant. But people would say, "Ha, tulekeya turanira abakube mundu bakina bateseze batukole the bago." That even the voters wanted Uganda to another level. Even the Abe Mukwayas, the Sengendo or something like that, wanted to streamline a nation. So there was a unifying factor. Then second, the amount, because you're a developing country, the payments for these positions were not that much, quite very enticing. Now, two factors played to where we are here. The first factor is when those that were elected did not serve the purpose. People began believing that there is nothing we get from you. You come, Chantel, they say Robert is going to represent us on something, or you're going to represent us. They're like, let Chantel go and represent us. Now, Chantel does not get any of our views, does not help us improve our livelihood, but here she's getting some money there. Now, when Chantel's term comes to an end and Sonko comes, now we say there's nothing we benefit from those we send. So we rather benefit from now. So the people that were elected after the CA and some of the parliaments that came there, because they did not serve to the expectations of the people, now people were not seeing value in electing them into office unless they would get an immediate benefit, because newe tubalonda tewachi tugenda bafunamu.
Right.
Now bompa kilo yange ya sukali omuti gwange ogwa sabuni nze byange biwedde, and you hear them, mukuru nze kompadde, the moment you've given me this you have my vote. And when you ask him, but how have you taken a bar of soap for your vote? That is how I've also benefited.
Right.
Now, that is for the electorate. They lost hope in people they're electing. And that is why you see even this has influenced the pattern of voting today. That people are going to vote anybody because they are annoyed, because they don't put seriousness to their vote, because they know even when they vote a journalist who has come, that he has a voice, when he reaches parliament, when he becomes the chairman LC5, they just enrich themselves, they don't go back to them. So they lost interest. And the final nail in the coffin was when politics became very paying. That government, parliament, these structures set in terms of salary the bar high. Who wouldn't want to be a member of parliament today? Not because they have the urge to represent the people, but because they know if I become a member of parliament, I used to cover parliament, and I would see on the day they are swearing in, all banks in this country flood the compound of parliament.
So you're saying the investment they put
now,
in.
if you swear in, a person knows that in the 5 year, I can get a loan of 1 billion. There is a car coming along the way. There is all these burial expenses. So when people lost hope, they said for us, give us what you give us. That's why you need the 400 something. Now, when also people knew that when I go to parliament, there is a lot of money. So I'll inject in 400 because I know in just 2 months, I'm going to recoup my money with the profits. I'll get a loan of 1 billion for the 5 years. 1 billion, I can buy a house, I can set up a business, never tanyongera karuru, even if I don't come back. I've washed dust, I've set myself on a silver platter.
You see, Robert, like you've mentioned as well, I think we also need to look at the issue of commercialization itself. How does the politics become even commercial? When you do look at how let's say our members of parliament or people seeking to get into positions of power, they normally use money to solve a problem they've identified. In most cases, I think we've seen scenarios where I think this is a very useful tactic by most of the people that actually go into, seeking for votes, where we've seen an MP to be buying an ambulance, offering it to the community or the constituents just because he wants or she wants them to vote for her or him. So in the long run, it's like someone is actually looking at the problem society has. But then when they realize that either way government has failed to put it out there, they decide to come in as a solution, and they bring in the money for starters. So it's more like, you've actually said, it's more like a bet. And it also goes back to how we used to handle school elections back in the time.
A bet or an investment?
Yes, it's more like an investment, whereby someone is giving out an ambulance with hope that if you are to vote for me, you will remember the ambulance I offered during the campaigning period. So,
what if we put it like this? Sorry to cut you short, Sonko. What if we put it like this? You will remember the solution that I gave. That's how they put it politically.
Yes.
That's how they put it. You remember the solution that I put in place for you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like they are providing, the commercialization comes about by how we the voters are accepting this kind of bribery in the form, I would actually say. It's actually someone is bribing us, but we are not seeing. It's more like someone comes out and says, your member of parliament, your area member of parliament has failed to meet the health standards of the community, or he has actually failed to address your issues in regards to the health sector. Your community doesn't have an ambulance, I'm bringing you the ambulance. So, because you have actually not been able to see the ambulance for the time this person has actually been in parliament, then you're definitely going to accept the other one, because they're actually bribing you into the situation. So it's like we as the community have also ideally accepted the commercialization to eat us up, and that is where it is actually limiting the young people who don't have money
and now,
to get into
just to throw a little bit, okay.
Gentlemen, when we come back to the element of commercialization, and we've now seen some of the reasons as to why our politics seems to be commercialized. Yes? So now, when we come back to how it has limited the youth, what are some of the indicators that commercialization of politics has actually limited the youth?
First, if you look at the percentages given here, how many of these positions the youth are occupying, because you need capital.
Right.
If you're going to stand for a member of parliament, sometimes people wonder why these people lose their seats and they become very broke. We've had these incidents where someone has gone to the bank and his home is what they have placed
As collateral.
To get 500 million to go in an election. Sonko talked about the ambulance. There's a technique that journalists was able to identify and understand. These ambulances, some buy, some hire and put on posters. You had a candidate in matching this. He hired, he will go to a bond, hire for a period of time, then label it, put the stickers. If he wins, maybe he can pay. You have a minister who removed the ambulance from people.
Yes.
You know, and it's not a secret.
No, in most cases some buy, and like you've mentioned, they may actually buy or pay a percentage of it. Because
now,
no one is
during
going to accept
campaign,
you
the
to-
ambulance is there. If they lose, you don't see that ambulance again. If they win, the ambulance will remain. That is also tactical. But this money, when you analyze away from ambulances, most of this money now, today's election, is real cash or tangible. If you want to be a member of parliament, today, when you go to vote, remember an incident one time by Captain Francis Babu. He's my good friend, I can use him as an example. When an old man during an election told him, the words you've spoken to us are very good, but Captain, he touched his throat. Meaning, your words are good, but they need to go with something for us to swallow. So today, you're going to buy booze, you're going to buy drinks, you're going to transport voters, you're giving them money. So the youth, let's look at the youth in Uganda, this big percentage of the youth in Uganda. Financially, many of them are not doing well.
Right.
This is a young man who has finished university. Many of them are getting their first jobs who have not yet gotten a job.
True.
Now, they don't have the money to invest. Therefore, they will not be able to win an election, because you need money to bribe. Let me be as honest. What these people are giving you, the bar of soap, paraffin, I know one even bought mattresses. You go to these women groups, you know, they tell us we have a circle. You inject money, Sonko, real money. Circle yabachale chinawataka, you put there 10 million. Munda biranga dala. And they're waiting for you. The youth groups, you're putting in real money. You're meeting voters, you're going door to door. But every house, you're living like a 10K. So a young man, a young lady does not have this money unless they come from a rich family, because now we've seen families are paying. Some have survived on sympathy vote. That may be the sister was in parliament, like when we had Sena Navanda. The father was in parliament, the son of the late speaker, and so many of those sympathy vote. They have made it to that way. But they don't have the monies. They don't have even assets.
Right.
You don't have a car that is worth good money. You don't have land that is worth good money. So if you don't have money, you're not going to get a vote. Therefore, the youth are still going to be very few. And that is why we've even had incidents of some youth falling into problems. I was interacting with one of my good friends, Honorable Segrinya Mohammed. Though we disagree on so many things, but there are things that he remains a long-time friend. And he told me, Rachi sajja oli kuwa parliament. People tell me, Segrinya oli muntu, neto ina sente. You didn't have money. That's why you find that some members today, we have people in opposition that are being castigated or labeled because they believe someone funded their campaigns.
And they couldn't make it in
yes,
there.
Funded their campaigns. Now they won the election, but they have to beat you.
No, but you see, Robert, I think it is still going back to society and how we are labeling these leaders of ours. And like you've mentioned, in most cases, as the reason as to why most of the young people, like the report is actually revealing, cannot get into leadership posts or are fearful of getting into these contesting situations is because of the money and what community believes. I've seen and also interacted with some of the young people who will tell you, some of them have actually said that I want to get into, parliament, I want to get into leadership. Some of them have actually even made decisions of getting wives very fast. And when you ask them, they will tell you, I want to have that sense of responsibility so that by the time I get into power, or by the time I start asking for votes, people are seeing me in a certain way. So we've actually, we have a picture or an image, or we've set expectations of who a leader should be in most cases in our communities. And of course, if you look at the fact that we've also had these scenarios whereby people believe that if you send someone who is from a humble background or someone who is not wealthy enough into parliament, they are going to just go and eat. I think we've heard of these statements whereby someone says, let us just vote him to go and eat as long as the others have also eaten.
But then,
so
Sonko,
it's all about, people have actually looked at politics as a game of money.
But you can't blame them. Ask me why. Which leader, ideally,
yes,
if you're getting into politics, you should be going there to serve.
True.
Ideally. Now, tell me that you're going to go there when you have no means of transport, your family is starving somewhere, you have all these dependents on you, and then you will concentrate on serving Ugandans instead of concentrating on serving your family. That is why at a point, money is really necessary for someone to join politics, because that means you have the capability to take care of yourself and your family. So you're not going in there for money, you're going in there to serve the countrymen, to serve the citizens. Now that is the point. At what point do we draw the line to know that this person is going in there because of the money, because of service, not for money?
Now, the two things. You see, our politics atmosphere keeps on changing. And I want to take you back to some days, and I want to give a very simple example. I know there are those watching us that have been around for some time. When the LC system was coming in, I interested myself in politics so early because I think I came from a neighborhood that had so much politics. We had what we would call LC1 chairpersons, like it is today. And because these people were coming to serve, we would have the village would gather, they would say on such a day, we have and when they gather, they would say to go around a chairman, we're going to elect a chairperson. And people would look for men and women of integrity. And someone would just say, I nominate Mwami Kisa. Another one says, I nominate Mwami Katerega. And I want to tell you, many people would say, thank you so much for nominating me, but I'm a busy person. I will not be able to serve my community diligently.
True.
I hope you give that position to another person, because they knew they were coming to serve. And the electorate were identifying these particular men and women of integrity and substance, and maybe fairly doing well, because they knew either retired teachers, something, men of integrity, because they knew that we need a person of integrity. And now the problem came. Society today, we are condemning it, but it's after the people they thought were going to serve them, were worth their salt, disappointed them. Now they resorted to demanding for money and choosing. So we've talked about the poor, but I want to tell you, in certain communities today, a ghetto child comes up, and a child from a wealthy family, because I'm not talking of youth, you're all aspiring for a position. There are high chances that this child of the poor will defeat you in that election, because people think he understands their problems better. They will not say Sonko is a journalist. He has connections. He can lobby for us. Sonko already built. He has a car. They want to get their very own, because they know Chirabo knows what it means sleeping on an empty stomach. Chirabo knows what it means sleeping when water is going under your mattress.
But aren't those the wrong reasons for choosing
now,
someone?
They feel
I think
he identifies.
we've actually created that.
Do you know why they have come to that? Because their first hope, the Sonko journalists have given. Sonko went to parliament. Sonko became a chairman LC5. Never presented their issues. Never lobbied. Because now,
he first
they used to
himself.
vote for the doctors, the lawyers, people with connections, because they thought this one can lobby for us. This one is connected. When Sonko got to parliament, it was about him and his family. He never lobbied. Now they say, let's choose our very own. Because he knows what we are going through. Maybe you'll understand it better.
And at the starting point, you
Then,
first identifies
the other
and pays
biggest
them
problem that our government has done Ugandans a disservice is civic and voter education. Many Ugandans today are being exploited because they're ignorant. I used an example. You're standing for member of parliament. You're promising to build hospitals for us. You're promising to work on roads. I saw Muhammad in Sereko in parliament. There are people in Kampala. Because the people in Kampala, we had a mayor here, he was called Christopher Iga. There's a cholera outbreak in Kampala.
and he promised to wash it out.
Christopher Iga lost a vote because we are telling him, we are later cholera.
Okay.
So in simple terms, the
There's
voters
so much ignorance.
Don't understand.
Go and ask people, what does a division mayor do? What does the Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago do?
What are his roles?
What
How far
does
he go?
your member of parliament do? What does your chairman? And I think this is deliberate. What does a president do? You know, when people are ignorant, they're easy to exploit.
Right. On that note, allow me call upon our dearest viewer this morning to have this conversation with us. Let us know what you think in the comment section on the X app, but also you can go ahead and send us a message on our WhatsApp number 07096022592. Let us know what you think, and the discussion is we would like you to share your views on how commercialization of politics has a limited involvement of youth in politics. Now, do note that the biggest percentage of our population is youth. I'm talking about between 35, actually 35 and below. Okay, so 15 to 35, that is the age bracket
In
for
politics,
the youth.
let's talk about 18 to 35.
18 to 35
because
in
you
politics.
can't participate in any political process in Uganda before
If
you're
you're
18.
below,
So yes,
yes.
18 to 35.
So 18 to 35, that is the age bracket we are looking at. And
the likes of Katumba, who wanted to govern this country.
but then again, also I've noted we only have 5 youth MPs in Parliament.
They were actually having an argument that it would be better if the government actually opened up more spots or more slots. These members of Parliament, these 5 youth MPs, so that at least the youth get more presentation in Parliament. Sadly, though, we even have other organizations and government agencies that have youth representatives that are way older than the youth
in the area.
You know, when you look at the youth age bracket that we're
Yes.
actually identifying here of 18 to 35. So it becomes really tricky in such times. That is where you want to even understand who are the young people, who are the youth.
Who are the youth?
You know, there's a 40-year-old who comes out and says, I'm fighting for the young people, represent the youth in the context or something else. So all of that brings about the same kind of situation that we are in today.
Right, and you know, Cherabo talked about something that I find very, very key, and that is the fact that people do not know the mandate or the roles of these different leaders being put in place.
True.
What is the role of a youth MP? What is the role of your member of parliament? How far can they go, or how far are they supposed to go? Because like you said, someone in the village is going to be out there and they have like a hospital they go to in that village, and that hospital only lacks maybe toilets and lacks a dispensary for medicine. The person comes and says, I'm going to do that for you, and that's enough for them to get voted. But are they the ones that hold the mandate to carry out these activities? Probably not. They are supposed to lobby and front their constituencies and front their regions to get these services, but they are not the ones supposed to provide the service because they cannot guarantee sustainability. Now that's the part that voters do not know. That's the part that leaves Ugandans confused. That is why you are, in one of the reasons I will think that someone is going to vote a Chantal because she's able to bring a dispensary, because she's able to contribute 50 bags of cement to the construction of the other school, because she's actually able to put up a particular structure in her village that students can go in and sit who have been studying under a tree. And that's enough for her to be voted. But sustainability of these things is not guaranteed because government is not really involved when it comes to the delivery of these things. Now, the question right now is, how do we now, what solutions do we employ? We've realized that we may not be able to get rid of commercialization of politics. That is the truth. Because some will vote you because you have the money. Others are going to put in the money to be voted, and we may not be able to roll that out. But then again, how do we get the youth to be more involved in the politics, to make sure that the youth, because they're the next generation, to make sure that the youth are actually doing their part when it comes to the contribution they need to make for the growth of the country?
First, there's something we didn't discuss, but I think I'm going to bring it within the solutions. We must tighten the law. I'll give you an example. I find this very annoying, that sometimes in campaigns, the few unlucky are caught, evidence is provided of bribery. But you see our law, if I went in an election 2026 and there is evidence that I bribed voters and we go to court and that election is nullified, the law does not stop me
from running again,
from contesting in a by-election. So, because if you had tight laws and they were seriously being enforced, and we expand the scope of the current law we have, that if Chantal, we are in 2025, voting is 2026. Chantal, you begin digging roads. You begin contributing to schools and what?
2025, that's when I'm
A
doing
few
all these
months to election. Then as you're digging the road, banaye munda biranga dala.
It
Then
happens a lot.
sometimes, or even the tractors that come, the graders, there is your poster. You say, but the law doesn't allow us to campaign now, but you see bantu bangenzija. you go to these functions.
You're planting a seed.
Yes. If we say all of that can affect you finally, should you dare compete? Now, an effective law is going to solve these problems.
Really?
Two, yes, if it is, I'm talking of an effective law. Because our laws, if there is evidence of bribery, you know, and even when it comes to this counting, Electoral Commission also has issues that sometimes people within the Electoral Commission have missed because of money. They may not be permanent staff. A person buys victory.
Right.
So if the law is more binding, the youth then will be able to participate. If your court and evidence is there that you bribed, you're not entitled to participate in a by-election. Let's not wash under.
You should actually be barred from taking part.
But it's foolhardy. If today you get me, tomorrow I'll just look at where are my weaknesses. I do it better. I come to Parliament. So for me, I believe we expand the scope of our law, we enforce it, then the youth will have some mileage to participate.
Right, thank you, Robert. Now, I'd like to get into the comments. Before that, Sonko, you seem like you have something burning to say.
Mine is society has already accepted the idea that if you do not have anything to offer during the campaigning period, then you're not the leader we are looking for.
Right.
Then you don't look like you're responsible enough. I did mention how people rush to, to set up responsibilities here and there, how people start making, good use of that particular period, that particular year. For example, 2025, you will definitely see all those
people becoming more active,
laying out strategies, monetary strategies most per se. But this has actually limited the young people who at times, in most cases, would have the better ideas and would be addressing all these key situations. But because they come from a side of being underprivileged in a sense of no money, or let's say no sense of economic belonging at a given point, they're still trying to come together with financial dependency and all that, rather financial independence. All of that has limited our scope of politics and how we look at the political space in Uganda. That is something that I think is affecting the youth involvement even before we tap into the commercialization of it.
Maybe, Chantal, in just a second, let's also reduce enrollment, salaries, privileges of various political positions. If a member of parliament earns the same as a doctor, earns the same as a lawyer or something, as public servants, then I won't invest much because I know I'm not going to get
much.
Yes.
But anyways,
but as long as these guys can look at
can happen.
Parliamentarians have the right, they look at their allowances, these things, cars. Who comes to parliament without a car?
No, obviously, an administrator has to earn more than
all
the
these
other.
things.
But now that
we tame down on how much they are getting, tame down, remove certain things. That vehicles are now no longer something we give to them.
These are privileges that they're supposed to have. Honestly.
All these, because look, they are creating the problem. That's why someone will put his house, because he knows he's going to be able to get 3 houses.
Well, this conversation still continues, so you can get to the X app and let us know what you think, how commercialization of politics has hindered involvement of the youth in the same. Now, I do have some comments in here, but also please do not call this number. It is only for comments. James Musai Gwamseveni from Nakawa Division. If you want to become rich in Uganda today, 2 things to do: build a local church or join politics. Lastly, the opposition MPs who have refused parliament sessions, but they have not refused salaries, allowances, and flights. He has something to say right there. Then someone else here says, good morning, Chantal and Tim. I'm Mugisha Juma from Juma Hussein, and he calls himself Musai Gwamhozi. The commercialization of politics is not surprising because it's a bigger job in Uganda that gives much income than other jobs. If someone wants to join public service in Uganda as a teacher, will have to pay between 3 to 5 million to Service Commission Committee in order to pass interviews. Someone to join health sector will need to pay between 8 to 10 million. Politics has become business like other businesses, and it's a reason even people joining politics aim at earning not only earning only, not representing people who have voted for them, nor attending parliamentary sittings as expected. Some MPs spend all their terms without talking any sensitive ideas in Parliament. Some are known as abusers and others are known to abscond. But they do all that because they know that none has rights to stop their earning either way, whether they attend, speak or not. Now, please do note that these are ideas given by some of our viewers, especially someone who talks about how people have to pay money to get some of these jobs. I think it depends. But away from that, even those considered to be well off and of integrity have also ended up in all money embezzlement scandals. Yes. Our people are too greedy, be it those from well-to-do families or those from humble backgrounds. Maybe the problem is with us voters who ask for money from them when they're asking for votes. I am Joseph Washington, watching live, direct from Entebbe. There is lack of civic education. That's why our people are that ignorant about their leaders' roles and their rights. I think it's deliberate, as Chirabo said. That's why even political education was scrapped off from schools, Joseph Washington still says. Now, he mentioned something that is interesting, and that is the fact that those from humble backgrounds and those from well-to-do backgrounds could do the same, could get in there and commercialize
That's
politics.
why we vote for Katuru Bwama.
And also, I saw something interesting. Some leaders, after being voted, you find them angry at their voters because they had to put in this much money to get the votes. It is a live conversation I had with someone who was really not amused with they were just bitter already.
I had a very funny
experience.
Really bitter. I was escorting one MP to his constituency. So he told me, let's first go to the old park. You know these guys that sell change? This guy got 1,000, 1,000 and 2,000. So every time we would reach a town, oh, baka, says Chirabo, give me the band of
2K.
2K. I give him, then they, if we are going to a drinking spot, he would pass by. Because there are new notes and there are many, then he would pick one and say, oh, yeah,
yes, they will not know how much he has left.
And that's why you can't defeat people ignorant. A member of parliament who buys booze in his constituency, when you had the late Ken, Honorable Ken Uchamuzi, who drinks with the people, who attends burials, who goes to church, I strongly just said like you can't defeat this Durango and a person who buries. That's why they're absent in parliament, because I know the voting is in the people there. I sleep on every dead body. I mean, I attend every vigil. I buy booze continuously. I quake Karakasa with them, sit in the mud with them.
Well, that's politics. That's politics, and it's
because they're ignorant.
It's a game for those who know how to play it. They will utilize your weakness.
They will tell me, no. Tatesa, he doesn't lobby. But because they're ignorant, some even have
and like you said, they relate to people who apparently understand the situation. If it's a community of drunkards and you buy alcohol, you've done exactly what they wanted you to do. Now, the comments are quite many, and unfortunately I may not be able to go through all of them because our time is fast spent. But we would like to thank you for being part of the conversation, and we have been discussing commercialization of politics and how it has limited youth involvement. And where we have agreed that definitely it has had an impact when it comes to involvement of youth. But also, we have realized that as Ugandans, we have a lot to do in terms of understanding why our leaders are put in place, the type of leaders we choose, and the reasons for choosing these leaders. But also, we have understood that at the end of the day, these voters will relate to people that they feel they can relate to depending on their desires. And lastly, we have also understood that civic education is really necessary. Most of the voters are ignorant. They do not know how far their leaders should go, what they can give and what they are not supposed to give according to the mandate given to them when it comes to the Constitution. That and so much more is what we have been discussing with Robert Chirabo and Jerome Paul Sonko here on UBC Television. For now, let's get into a very short break. When we come back, it's Good Morning Uganda business and traffic updates.
Topic of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
So this is my general perception. One, that this project entered in strategic areas of government, but that it has created a base for the now last mile strategy, which is the past development model. And therefore this base that it has left will help us actually, and I'm sure we'll get better results in a Chole area and Ajumani when we are implementing the past development model.
Well, good morning again. It's a cold Wednesday morning, November 1st, 2023. The funny twist about everything is that the very first day of the year 2024 will be a Monday. That clearly shows you 2024 will be a very serious year. But besides that, how ready are you and how are you preparing yourself for the new year? Because we are only left with 2 months, or let's say a month, to say goodbye to this particular year. But let's get it running with our business updates this morning, as we start off with the government of Uganda, which has actually committed to negotiate Uganda's eviction from the African Growth and Opportunity Act, that is the AGOA. After that AGOA eviction notice. If I'm to take you back a little faster, on Monday, according to details that were actually coming in relation to the African Growth, the African Growth and Opportunity Act, President Joe Biden wrote to the Speaker of Senate accusing African countries, including Uganda, Gabon, Niger, and the Central African Republic, of human rights violation. So, of course, he came out and determination, according to that notice of President Joe Biden, was that determination was due to January 2024 should Uganda fail to meet the AGOA eligibility requirements. Now, Biden's move follows President Yoweri Museveni's May 2023 assent to the Anti-Homosexuality Law Act, followed by the several allegations of rights abuses within some of these other African countries as well. And this is where we're actually coming in from the same situation. So in May, President Joe Biden signaled that Washington would incorporate impacts of Uganda's anti-gay law into annual review for the East African countries' AGOA eligibility. And when I'm talking about AGOA, it's the African Growth and Opportunity Act. So in the same kind of situation, President Joe Biden having written, you get to realize that the recent official data does indicate that Uganda's exports to the US had reached $200 million annually. So when we get these particular figures of US trying to remove Uganda from the AGOA trade deal, it is something that is likely to affect us in one way or the other. But of course, the government has actually ensured Ugandans that they are negotiating to ensure that this particular one is not terminated. Of course, they were actually expressing intent to terminate Uganda's exports to the country through this particular act. And in between the lines, like I've actually mentioned, our exports to the US hitting $200 million US means that with this act or deal being terminated, that is with the AGOA, if it is terminated, then that means these figures will then have to decrease in that particular space. But of course, as we go deeper into understanding, the senior presidential advisor of the AGOA matters, that is Susan Muhwezi, says that the eviction does highlight gross human rights violation by the government, which she commits to engage relevant authorities for appropriate defense to avert trade repercussions in the near future. Because by the look of things, if we do not negotiate directly, then we may be facing these repercussions in the near future. So according to Susan Muhwezi, she will definitely be engaging various stakeholders to ensure that we, the Ugandans, will not feel it rough in regards to our exports to the United States. But now let's turn our eyes to Mayuge, where Mayuge authorities have failed to account for 389 million Ugandan shillings, as government was as well giving out over 160 bicycles to health workers in the same district. When you look at the Mayuge District Health Department, according to figures from the local government in Mayuge, the health department has failed to account for 369 million Ugandan shillings sent from the Ministry of Health to facilitate community health extension workers and other different health programs, according to authorities. Of course, now when you look at such situations happening, it is one of the reasons as to why we have bigger issues of implementation of government programs and projects in local governments because of swindling of money failing to be accounted for, or whereby money is actually sent to the local governments and it is not being productive, or let's say it does not meet the target that the government was aiming at achieving. So those are some of the things that we are steadily looking at, but of course they are showing a very key issue of incompetence in our local governments and as well as in some of our leaders who are in charge of disbursing these particular funds, or making sure that these funds meet the specific goals and objectives that the government had put in place. But well, besides that, as we are ending up with our business update this morning, let's look at the forex market. Close of business Tuesday, and opening, the US dollar was buying at 3,769.04, while selling with a 3,799.04. It did close at 3,881.42 for those buying, while selling did close at 3,791.42. The Great Britain pound was buying at 4,592.53, while selling at 4,604.67. The euro was buying at 4,006.79, while selling at 4,017.38. The Kenyan shilling was buying at 25.10, while selling at 25.17. The Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.51 while selling at 1.51. The South African one was buying at 199.85 while selling at 200.38. And now, as I'm summing this up, let's look at the press review once more as we start off with what is making headlines in the country that is Uganda before we actually cross over the borders. Now, the New Vision comes in first with the headline, Chinese conned in fake sale, according to what the New Vision is highlighting, in fake sale of government oil farm. Government also takes over internship placements for teachers as school fire death toll rises to 7. President Museveni further urges investors to report corruption. More of how the CMI tracked Magara suspected kidnappers in the New Vision today. Now, besides that, let's turn our eyes to the Daily Monitor. With the headline, 30% of Ugandans have mental disorders, according to the Daily Monitor. Now, US is set to scrap Uganda off the AGOA list. Read about the same. And in the Home's perspective, 7 years of disappointment as a condominium owner. the condominium owner shares his story. And in the regional, in the other news, we will keep working with Ugandans, new US envoy says. Now let's cross over to Kenya with the Daily Nation. Historic visit. According to Daily Nation, a royal tour, King Charles III and Queen Camilla hosted by President Ruto on day one of trip. Of course, a pictorial showing King Charles III inspecting a guard of honor with President William Ruto. Then best of the best governors performance ranking. The Daily Nation ranks the best performing governors in Kenya. Then candidates sit tests in hospitals as exams draw to a close. Lastly, the Citizen newspaper in Tanzania, Mwinyi, our focus areas, the big interview. You can get more of that in the Citizen. Now, 14 regions in Tanzania are set to receive above average rains according to new forecasts. Then freedom fighters remains set for return from Germany. More of that in the Citizen newspaper. Well, that said and revealed, it's now time for us to check out the traffic updates.
Thank you so much, Jerome Paul. Well, this moment I am not actually standing in studio. I am standing at the Nambole roundabout, and I'm about to let you know, if you are coming to town, how best you can navigate. Also let you know what to expect along the way as you try to get to town. Now, from Nambole roundabout getting to the Kampala Jinja Highway, you are safe to move until you are closing into the Nambole Road, the branch of the junction that has Nambole Road, and there is a little bit of traffic on there, so you might want to be ready for that. Now, this traffic is a bit slow but also has some tight ends, so in there you will find yourself where the road connects to the Kampala Jinja Highway, where Kamuli Road connects, also Namugongo Road, where the Namugongo Road connects to the Kampala Jinja Highway. Definitely you will find some jam on there. Well, it should be expected that there will be jam on most of these junctions when you are trying to join the main road. Now, onto the Kampala Jinja Highway, we are moving past Chireka Police Station. You are safe to move, and there is no traffic at all. However, when you are closing into Chireka Farmers Market, after that you will be facing a bit of jam on there until you reach the junction, the junction in Chireka, shortly before a particular petrol station called Mogas. There is some bit of tight ends as you are trying to make your way to town. Traffic loosens, and you will find no traffic until you reach the part that has Rigo Paints. There will be a bit of jam until you come all the way as you are trying to get to Banda taxi stage. You will be finding jam. It is moving. It is not as tight as we would imagine on this road. Now, after Banda taxi stage, you are going to be moving fast until all the way you reach these ends of Chambogo. And also through Chambogo Road, you will be free to move all across until you reach another junction of Chambogo Road that has the Lukman Ginger, the part that has Lukman Ginger Road. You will find jam on there. Of course, where there is a junction, like I already told you, you will be finding jam. Now, after the Lukman Ginger Road, and the one that has also the junction that has Chambogo Road that brings you down to the main Kampala Jinja Highway, you will find a lot of jam on there, so brace yourself. All the way through Uganda National Bureau of Standards, the site that has UNBS, all the way you will find jam until the junction that what they call the Spear Junction. Now, the Spear Junction, you will be trying to connect to Nakawa. Now, there is a junction from Ntinda Road, but there is also the Nakawa Jinja Road. So depending on where you would like to go to, if you are joining the Nakawa Jinja Road all the way to go to Chinawataka Road, there is a bit of tight ups in the middle there, but roughly you will be able to move smoothly on the biggest part of that road until you join Chinawataka Road, which seems to have traffic moving smoothly. And then when we proceed, we are still on the Kampala Jinja Highway, and after the junction that has Ntinda Road, you will be in position to move properly until you reach also the junction that connects Uganda Auto Trade, that is Japan Auto Traders, connects them to the main Kampala Jinja Highway, and also connecting you to Nakawa. Now, when you are in Nakawa, right now we are in Nakawa and we are closing into the Nakawa we're getting into the stages in there. There is a bit of tight ups in there, and these are due to this particular junction that has the new Port Bell, that has the connection to the new Port Bell Road. You will be you will be finding some jam on there, but after that, when you go past that junction, the next part that will have jam is going to be near Lugogo, and that is also definitely because you are at the lights that have Chadondo and also have the Lugogo Stadium complex. That is the part where you will also find some traffic, but all the way as you cross over trying to get to town, there is smooth flow of traffic until you get to the part as you are closing into Ginger Road now, main Ginger Road. As you're closing into, you will find jam again at the part that has the MTN Uganda offices, the upper part, also the stretch that has Ministry of Internal Affairs, that is Ginger Road, the one that connects you to the main Ginger Road roundabout. You will be finding jam that is actually not anywhere. It is really tight on there, and of course depending on where you would like to go, if you're trying to join Wampeo Avenue, you are headed for a lot of jam on there, and this is mainly due to the roundabout. But also if you're trying to get further into town, when we get after the junction, remember there is also after the roundabout there is the junction that has these lights, and the lights that are going to be leading you to either Yusuf Ulule Road or giving you the access road to Mukwano side. There is jam on there as you are trying to get to town, but if you should proceed to town, traffic seems to be moving smoothly all the way into, as you are coming to the ends of Victoria University or getting into Kampala Road, you will find not much jam. Actually, it moves quite smoothly as you are headed town. So that is it for the traffic updates. If you're trying to maneuver through Nakawa, through Chireka side, from Nambole side, that is how you are going to be moving. Well, we can't go further than. Thank you for staying with us. Coming up is Good Morning Uganda Agenda with Robert Chirabo.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
In 2007, a team from Prelna came and they started teaching us how to farm. They began by teaching us about food security, where they educated us to grow cassava and also agribusiness.
This kind of farming, the project also taught us how to sell as a group after finding a market. The support from the project has been so good to us.
Nibanyita kananye niyita Sezi Nuwagaba, commercial officer, Abwantunga mu district government.
I am Sezi Nuwagaba, the commercial officer for Ntungamo local government. I express my gratitude to God for this platform and the Emyuga initiative brought to us by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, as it has positively transformed the lives of the people in Ntungamo, whom I have known for a long time. When you visit the demonstrates that despite their leader being deaf and blind, profits are being made, highlighting how this program has actively engaged and evolved every individual. Initially, we received 2 billion and 650 million Uganda shillings Each constituency received 530 million Uganda shillings. I would like to express my gratitude to this platform for providing us with the opportunity to share information about the Emyoga program. Our special thanks go to the President for initiating the program, and additionally, I would like to mention that there are numerous similar projects in Rubare and Ntungamo.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso, every Wednesday live in our studios in the heart of Kampala. We have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Mukoke Fish Farmers Association tuli balunzi ba byananda ebyebika ebisatu omuli Miracap, tilapia oba engege ni catfish twete male. Group eno twatandika twali abantu basatu nga tulingirira obwetaavu obwebyenanda obw'obwiva eno okubona nti tufuna okasente akava mu maadi agali gatambula butambule nga gatubita ku wano ng'ekirabo. Twatandika ni fish pond ndala mu mwaka gw'e2018. Twebaza fisheries officer ni district ya Bugiri babanga batulagirira kusaani fish farm ebwikwe ni side day ndeyo twabanga tusobola okufuna kwetusaako obugege obwaso. Era mu mwaka ogwali 2020 awo basobola okubanga batuwaayo ebyenanda emitwalo $4 okuva mu operation werese creation. Era okuba yongereza ku emmere yatuweebwa okuva Ugachik Poultry Breeders okubanga tusoloza akasente akawerera obukayire nga 42. Twasobola okubanga tubuinvestinga oba okubona nti twongereza ku bimu ku bintu bye tukola gano bebaza government yaife okubanga buli saawa efaayo okubanga eferi abana Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning once again, and thank you for being with us on UBC TV. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda. With me, Robert Chirabonyonyitono, and this morning I'm going to be discussing yet something very important to all of us, and that is regarding our national examinations and incidents of examination malpractice. Now, we had the Senior 4 exams commence. Next week, primary leaving examinations will be commencing, and then later we shall have the Senior 6. I decided to use those levels because they're well conversant with everybody. Now, during the Senior 4 exams so far, we've registered incidents of examination malpractice that include head teachers, that include teachers, that include connivancy that involves invigilators. We even had a young man who was arrested purporting to be having examination papers. Now, these and more are what we are going to be discussing with the Principal Public Relations Officer, Uganda National Examinations Board, UNEB, Jennifer Karure Musamba. You're most welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, thank you. A very good morning to all our viewers. It's always a pleasure to be over here at UBC.
Now, to begin with, I've been calling you almost on daily. One time I expected you on phone, my viewers, and started by apologizing to them.
I really
kept
want
them waiting and you never came through.
I want to apologize to the viewers out there. It's all because we are always on duty, and at times it is a question of life and death, because you find, I mean, to the candidate out there, it is life and death. So if somebody calls you, maybe they've been stopped from entering an examination and you need to intervene, you need to call XYZ, then that means you have to set your priorities, because in case it's 15 minutes past 9 o'clock, it cannot happen. So if you need to save a life, if you need to save a candidate and you need to do something about it, or somebody is transporting some exam and they are stuck, usually our mornings are that tricky. Until 9 o'clock, you are saving a life, you are saving a destiny. So in most cases, we try to minimize the interruptions, because we are up here at the command center, and then you realize that out there behind every action you are doing, there's a destiny behind. So we are always conscious, and that is why whatever we do depends on what are the other options. Is there somebody else who can be doing this, or are we saving a life? So at times it's some of those life-saving situations that you're handling. But I apologize.
How is the pressure at your name now?
Okay, you know, the way the exams are, as you're phasing out one series, then another one is coming in. Right now, UCE, the first 2 weeks of UCE are really very pressurizing, because that is where we have all the compulsory subjects, all the compulsory papers. So the appetite for malpractice is quite high, and we are tight on the ground to make sure we do bridge up all the gaps. Now, as we are phasing out now, this week and next week, S4s are going to be doing the electives, where we have fewer candidates, and you know, it's not so, the appetite for malpractice there is not so high. But at the same time, we are now phasing in UCE preparations, which is the worst. The worst. I know people keep saying it's just 2 days.
2 days, 4 subjects.
Wow, yes. If it was a week, I think we'd even have corpses. I thank God it's only 2 days and just 4 subjects. But for so many reasons. One, PLE is one of those examinations that it's a critical gateway in the academic career of any any learner. It is the first time they are doing an examination, a national examination, so they are also don't even know what to expect. However, for the rest of us, the adults, it's also very critical. Every parent would want their child to perform well at PLE. Reason being, once they perform well, that is going to determine which school they are going to go to the next level, and thereafter their academic career. Because you know, if you go to school X, you are most likely to perform well at UCE, and then later on at USC, later on you go for government sponsorship, you most likely do a good course or something like that. So to every parent, it is very critical. So parents are very, are so much into this. I was telling somebody last week, a colleague of mine, a friend called me, and she says, Jennifer, your NAB exams begin next, she said in Uganda, because your NAB are next week. I'm like, which your NAB? Exams. I'm like, but you're doing exams. No, I mean PLE. So everybody thinks PLE is the examination. But also, even at that level, even for us at administration level, you find that that's where we have many examination centers. Almost every village in this country has a primary school. And it is our duty to ensure that every candidate, the over 700,000 candidates, we need to ensure that everybody has a paper at their desk before them by 9 o'clock. We need to ensure that the candidates who are the primary stakeholders are the first ones to look at this paper. Nobody else should look at this paper before the candidates see it. What would term as a leakage. So we need to make sure we guard against all that. At the same time, we also have many private stakeholders. We have many private stakeholders. We want to thank the Lord that they do support the government in the education sector. But because they are many and it's a business, to many of them, some of them it's a calling, others it is a business. So the performance at PLE level determines the number of learners they are going to get the following year. That is why at the time of release, the media is awash with how many scores, how many candidates got, I don't know, how the aggregates for, whatever people think is really good. And basically because it is a way of advertising themselves. So many of them would do anything to make sure they are seemingly good. They appear to be performing well, even if they may not be performing well. But also, we also have the competition between the districts, even with the government schools. You'll be surprised that even with the government schools, the head teachers still are under so much pressure to make sure they deliver. Some of them, we understand, are even threatened to be transferred. So you are told, if you do not bring this number of first grades, then we shall transfer you. So the head teachers themselves are under so much pressure, and they want to appear to be performing. So they would want to do whatever it takes to make sure that maybe they support their learners. However, as a system, what we say is, the examinations are not, they should not be a life and death situation, ideally. It is about, what we do is to assess the competencies, the abilities of these learners, the knowledge acquired of these learners over the last years or so. And what we encourage, what we want to see really is effective teaching and learning taking place throughout the 7 years, throughout the 4 years, throughout the 2 years. If effective teaching and learning takes place, and we cover the syllabus, by this time, no one should be panicking, because those learners have what it takes to pass effectively, as long as you've taken them through the entire syllabus. They have the ability. You do not have to be worried.
Jennifer, I know my viewer wants to have an update of so far the issues of examination malpractices, how many have been registered by UNEB so far. And then we shall begin from there, because one funny thing, though annoying, is I think since I was able to understand what's going in the education system, examination malpractices in Uganda is something that has always been there. From when you were, anyone who has been in school, still their exams confiscated, withheld by UNEB, you hear so and so arrested. So this time around so far, who are these unlucky?
Unlucky.
Schools, teachers, invigilators. Who are these unlucky that were able to be netted?
Oh my God, you're calling them unlucky. Do you know what they're doing to our system?
Because I know there could be a number that have not been caught. And the few unlucky. Not smart. I'm speaking like an ordinary, like a Ugandan of these times. Because, you know, those that are unlucky didn't do it very well, or used less money, or foolishly, that were nabbed.
Talking about malpractice, first and foremost, I want to make something very clear. Not every form of malpractice is a leakage.
Yes.
Right now, I can confidently say there has been no leakage of UNEB examinations this far, and it is not going to happen this entire examination season. Not for UCE, not for PLE, not for USCE. So I want to assure every stakeholder out there, I want to assure the parents, the candidates, the directors, the teachers, our political heads. I want to assure you that this far we have been able to ensure the security of our examinations. Just like our theme, integrity and security in the management of examinations is a joint responsibility. What we have done as a board, we've done our best, and we are working with different stakeholders to make sure we ensure the security of examinations. So.
And I love the fact that you've said this time around, there is not going to be and there hasn't. Maybe for the benefit of our viewer, when you talk about, you're going to give us the
forms of malpractice. Yes.
I know you're not an...
Because I want to explain that very clearly.
Examination malpractices.
Yes.
When you say one linkage,
I want to go to the others.
So let's look at others. And first properly define. When we talk about examination leakage, this which is not going to happen, what is how does it happen? And when someone says the exam was leaked, a national exam by UNEB, what are we referring to? Okay,
thank you so much. A leakage is when we have prior knowledge of the paper. Like right now, it's not yet 9 o'clock. exams are supposed to begin at 9 o'clock. However, by this time, the candidates already have a copy of the paper by some reason. So a leakage is when we get a paper leaking, sneaking out of the system to the public and then eventually to the candidates.
Well, I used to have candidates who said, "Sir, this is not the paper."
Exactly. No, that is when they thought it was a leakage, and actually it did not happen. That is okay. Let me explain. That is now the leakage. That is prior knowledge. That is the
paper
worst
is
fraud
out
before its time.
It's
and that
time.
is why for us we are saying that our candidate is the primary stakeholder, and they're supposed to be the very first one to see the paper when they're in the right place. They are at their desk for the paper, in the area which is gazetted. It's 9 o'clock. Turn your paper around, and they see the question. There is no leakage, and we can guarantee that this far we have not had a leakage. We have been able to control to that level. Now, the other forms of malpractice are external assistance. External assistance, I'm in the paper and you're the invigilator, and then you're coming in to, you've seen the paper of course, and then you're coming in to try and give me the answers. Usually what happens that a school is, they have a copy which is for the school. So you have 90 candidates, then maybe you'll be given 91 copies, and the copy is for the record for the school. And if the invigilator is not vigilant, and whoever has interest, maybe the invigilator or whoever comes in, they get a question, they can put answers. Write answers on the sheets, and then they try to give the candidates.
Distribute
whatever method they want to use. That is the external assistance. Alternatively, even the candidates themselves can copy from each other, what we call collusion. That's why we have the social distance. But there are places where realistically they do not even have the social distance, because the space is not enough. It's like this, and they have an overwhelming number of candidates, and you can't do much. They have to sit. So they can clearly copy from each other. And according to our guidelines, whether you are the one who has copied or someone has copied from you, you are both culpable. So we encourage our candidates to please cover your work. Make sure your neighbor does not copy from you. That is collusion. Then we have impersonation. Impersonation whereby somebody is going to sit and say they're going to do on my behalf, or usually this one involves head teachers when they register both of us, and then after registering both of us, they know I'll write my name on my script, and rather I'll write your name on my script, you write your name on my script. So maybe you are a NES4 candidate and you're going to sit for me as I'm in P7. And of course, all the answers. So you're going to write Jennifer Kalule on your script, and I'll write your name on my script. So at the time of handing in, it will appear like Jennifer actually did the work. It is actually you who did the work. Then we have the fraudsters, the ones who have been vending the so-called papers on social media. That is where the fresh curriculum now falls, where the one who had unauthorized possession of anything purported, believed, or said to be a UNEB examination paper. What this young boy was doing, he got past papers of UNEB 2020, 2022, and then he would superimpose the cover, and where is 2022, he adds 2023. So on the Monday morning, it comes up, geography is here, geography paper 1, and you're like, excuse me. Even us, none of us knew the papers. At one moment, I'm like, this guy, he's talking with so much confidence. I had to go scouting and peep in the question paper of the candidates just to confirm against a fresh curriculum paper. And it was fake. Now, those who do vend the fake papers. So eventually we got him, and he confessed himself what he was doing. For him, all he wanted was to get a big following on social media, unfortunately. So of course now the law has caught up with him. So that's what is appearing. So even the ones who are said to be, maybe they were going to buy or whatever they were going to buy was fake. Because there are guys who have been around trying to forge because that's why they keep saying, UNEB has changed. UNEB, people say UNEB, the time I've been there, we've never changed a script. They are sent way back like over the weekend. So people think when somebody has woodwinked somebody that we have the papers, and then it's funny, it turns out to be fake, they will say, UNEB changed. That's the impression they attract. Change that paper overnight.
They knew this one had leaked, then
how do we get to Kabohe overnight? How do we get to West Nile, which is where we have our last station? So bottom line is we have put in place tight measures to ensure that the security of our examinations is guaranteed.
Now, how do you fight? Because I know most times these papers sleep at a police station along the way. I've heard of incidents. I've not been part of them, but I've heard of incidents that an hour too. Actually, some students I've interacted with, they'll tell you that an hour too, a paper can come. If exams are starting at 9. It didn't leak at UNEB. The leakage was fault there. But along the way, then they are brought in. You may think these are the senior 3s could sit in a candidate class. Then you think the senior 4s go and sit in the senior 3 class. So you may think there's learning going on. Yet the senior 4s are in senior 3 and they're being taken through the paper an hour 2. When they reach on set, it is the same paper. So it is either in transit, not in the production of UNEB, in transit, that one paper, I think that extra paper, was already removed and the candidates have knowledge to it. When they get into the exam at 9, it is indeed the paper. Transit.
Yes, we try to minimize that as well. First of all, the 1 hour would hardly happen because by 8 o'clock, we should not be giving out those papers. We start giving them out at 8:30. We are looking at giving them a minimum of 30 minutes between the station to the school. Yes and no, we have had challenges with the distribution chain. Yeah, last year we had one, and we're trying to tighten that this time round, especially for PLE, which is very delicate. And we try to do our level-based reality, because what happens is that at the station we have our own container, and this container has got, we have 4 keys. There are 4 padlocks to eventually access the paper. Actually, even there's another seal. So 2 people, including a military personnel and a NEP scout, have the keys to the outside, have 2 keys to the outside of the container. Inside the container, we have a box, another set of 2 keys. Another scout and a military personnel have another set of 2 keys.
Jennifer, what is your budget and what is the probability that you have that human resource assigned to that?
That is, we do not work alone. This is a national examinations. Right now, we have we deploy over 100,000 people in the field all over for different activities. We work with military personnel, with military police, we work with ordinary police, and we work with other teachers to help us, other people of integrity. And this time round, specifically for PLE, we have specifically requested that we have the district, we have professionals at the district, at the sub-county and everything, do the distribution. Let me tell you, if you are the one out, for instance, I have what can I call it? I have a personality. I need to protect my personality. I wouldn't be involved in vending papers or something like that. The people who are involved in, the fresh Karim, for instance, this is a young boy who was doing, he didn't even take it seriously.
Fresh Karim, ignorance of the law is no excuse. You face the wrath of the law.
Yeah.
But
my point is, we look at people. We look
at this chain, because I have done some bit of interest in research into that. And I've found that, yes, it is true, our viewers, that UNEB has done tremendous, and I want to credit you, that those days where exams would leak, that you've fought. Now, external assistance in class, like we said, and that before getting the paper is where remains a challenge.
That is where we are strengthening our nets now regarding the distribution. And I'm saying that an hour before, the people at the station are not supposed to release that paper an hour before. They release it 30 minutes. At times even 25 or 15 minutes, depending on the distance. So you know that the last station at UBC, maybe you are at your Ginger Road Police, and there's a station maybe at Nakmat, at UBC, and then maybe at Parliament or something like that. So they would first release the person going to Parliament because they are going to the farthest station, and then next one to UBC, and then next one maybe to at Nakmat or something like that. So in the meantime, they're monitoring and saying, okay, fine, we've released the UBC. They should be there in the next 5-15 minutes. At the center, we have our scouts who are there monitoring and trying to make sure that that this paper is actually there. So call it HM, where exactly are you? And that you are being monitored. Of course, we are relying mainly on the integrity of this person. Yes. That's why we want to get the high caliber, and that's why we insist on the issue of integrity. And by and large, people really do their best, honestly. But also at the school, when you talked about the teaching and all that during that time, that is, first of all, a malpractice, because the moment briefing takes place, you're not supposed to be teaching these learners. And now the scout who is at the scene, ideally, we expect these candidates to be assembling by 8:30. but usually they assemble even before 8:30, and they begin to be checked. So start checking them and make sure nothing is there. They are settled, they are assembled, blah blah blah. So by 8:45, ideally, all candidates should be seated in the examination in the rooms. However, in the event that a candidate is late, they should get there not less than 15 minutes. That's 9:15. That is why, for us, if a candidate comes in at 9:30, we will not let you do the examination. We are suspicious, we highly suspect you have been doing something behind the scenes. That is why we are very, very strict on time. People always ask, but you know, just 15 minutes, let them in, 30 minutes, because it means a lot to us. It means a lot to the credibility of our assessment process. So the moment you are late, whether by omission or commission, accidentally, whatever it takes, be at the center at least 15 minutes after the examination starts. Thereafter, we will not let you in because we suspect something goes on beyond that time.
Now, I know our viewers are waiting. They have a number of questions for you, and you can use our WhatsApp number to send me a WhatsApp message or a text message. But a humble request, please do not call that number on your screen. It is only for receiving text messages. We do not call that number. Give me your name and where you're watching from. I'll be very glad. Now, Jennifer, before we go to messages, now, with all that said, take us through that few incidents that UNEB, police, and authorities have been able to identify and hold these people accountable.
Okay. Thank you so much. Among the cases we have had electronic sharing of what is purported to be, electronic sharing of what is said to be a UNEB examination paper. That is an offense according to the UNEB Act, Section 25. We had a case in Mitoma. This was a head teacher of Swahili. Poor guy, I don't know, either whatever he did. He got what we call advanced, what was supposed to be, or what was purported to be advanced instructions for biology. I guess it was for the previous year or something like that. And he did share on the teachers' forum. And the head teacher, we want to thank God for the head teacher of that school because he was on the alert. He did report immediately and said, no, this is not acceptable. And the head teacher was apprehended, actually, and then he was taken to court and was remanded until the 2nd of November rather. He should be appearing before court. Today is first, tomorrow. He should be appearing again in court to answer to charges of unauthorized possession, but also electronic sharing of what is purported to be a UNEB examination. I want to urge anyone out there, anything that looks like a UNEB paper, a UNEB question, it gets onto your phone, kindly delete and disappear. Otherwise, do not attempt forwarding it to another person, because the moment you do, you get into the racket and then you will be part of the people, the culprits who are going to be apprehended for electronic sharing of what is supposed to be, of what is purported or said to be a UNEB paper. Another case also happened. Another case I think happened we had 6 suspects around. These ones were around Kampala from different places. They too were vending what was said to be UNEB papers. Now these ones were tried in Uganda Road Court, and on 30th on Monday they did apply for bail application and it was granted to them. So they are out on bail, and these were 6 of them. And then with Nagalama, we had another case still of unauthorized possession of a content believed to be UNEB examinations, and this was still involving teachers. They too were sharing on their phones what was purported to be UNEB examination papers, and they too are also they are used to appear before court. And these were teachers, different teachers, and this was somebody from economics, somebody from mathematics, different teachers from a school called Nampita Secondary School. No, this was another one. No, this was a school in St. Paul Mokasa, I think, in Nagalama. Now another place in Yumbe, West Nile. Here, the teachers, I don't know what trick they were trying to do. They got into the examination room. They weren't supposed to get there first and foremost. They all had laptops and phones and iPads, claiming that they are coming to charge them. Suddenly they appear, and the invigilator is like, wait a minute. You are coming in the examination room to charge your phones? Really? It was very suspicious. So they too were arrested. Please, we want to caution everybody. If you're not supposed to be in the examination room, kindly do not be there. Kindly do not be there. And we urge the head teachers, you are supposed to condone off this place, because not everybody is supposed to access it. Only those who are authorized for purposes of examinations are supposed to access that place. So these two were also apprehended. So we do not want anybody to play around with the destinies of these learners. And we want to ask all the adults out there, please, let the learners get maybe their low marks, let them get their actual marks. Other than you trying to assist them and then they eventually get their results cancelled. Usually when we cancel results, people ask, well, what happens to the adults? I think we've been doing so much on cancelling the results of the candidates, and we encourage them to repeat. But this year we realize we have even a situation where we have senior fours and they're the last cohort of the curriculum. So if the results are cancelled, they don't even know what's going to happen. Anyone involved in attempting to assist a candidate access have unauthorized possession of what is said to be a NEP paper, whether it is actual or not, you are liable on conviction to a fine of between 20 and 40 million shillings, or you can be jailed for between 5 to 10 years. Kindly do not attempt, because you are going to destroy your future, but most importantly, we don't want you to destroy the destinies of these learners.
Now, Jennifer, that well said. The lucky few, or those that had real scouts there. I know, I've spoken to a number of education consultants in Uganda. Some even have worked abroad. And there's something they told me that, Robert, children have various capacities of learning and being able to apprehend. But you cannot have a class of 100 and you have all these pass in first grade. And you have a class of 200 and you have 190 first grades. You have about 40 with the 4 aggregates and the rest. They say there are those that cram by seeing, there are those different, and they say this speaks so much to UNEB exams. Now, you're the experts in UNEB. Today we hear after results are back or when schools are advertising, twatuza abaana bibiri bonna bayita mu first grade. Experts have told me that smells a rat. And one time we had Green Hill Academy, you remember, where it came out and said, for us, our student, we can't fail like this, we need to be remarked. Well, you never stood firm, you never remarked them.
No, we don't remark at PLE.
They were saying it is impossible that we can perform, we were undermarked or something like that. Doesn't this smell a rat to you and UNEB?
Well, I think yes and no. One, we think that the Minister of Education, that they do their due diligence to make sure that the systems.
That some of these results could be of smart students, teachers. Some of these results could be of well-financed, that the integrity you're talking about was compromised and lip-stighted. We even have schools sometimes they say, those are traditional malpractice schools, but never gotten by the hook.
Let me speak
and you wonder, papers out, senior 4, we got this, seniors, and as if, don't other schools teach? Banange, year after year, what happens to the rest? This extreme performance.
Well, I want to speak to what UNEB exactly does. First and foremost, of course, like you said, that is why we're saying that they are at PLE. The stakes are high. People want their children to go to certain schools because it's highly likely. It's possible that actually effective teaching and learning takes place in that place. I'll tell you, the schools are personally. I do traditional. I've been to traditional schools. I was in Namagunga. I was in Nabisunsa. We would pass genuinely. Effective teaching and learning, I can confidently say, takes place in those traditional schools. And once that takes place, because UNEP examinations are not coming from nowhere. These are examinations which have been, candidates, they've been learning. Actually, for somebody where effective teaching and learning has been taking place, it may even be an easier paper than what they've been doing ordinarily, because we are setting from P3 to P7. You're sitting from senior 1 to senior for the entire syllabus, things that somebody already knows about. That said, so I believe, yes, it is possible where effective teaching and learning has taken place throughout the period. However, as far as UNEP is concerned, we've said now up to the examination room. Thereafter, let me get to the marking. I think that is why the insinuation is. Now, at the marking, we have, first of all, at the center, we have what we call a random number for every paper, for every center, for every. Like this morning, the candidates are going to write a paper, and then UBC center for paper, for this morning's paper has random number, maybe 0025. For the afternoon, it can be 255. And then for tomorrow, it can be 962. They keep changing for every paper, for every session. Why? Because we do not want, we want to randomize, we want to make them anonymous. So the examiner cannot know, when examiners are coming to our centers, if you've talked to them, ask them what they go with. They do not even have their phones, they leave them at the receptions. We check them thoroughly. They used to have Bibles and Qurans. These days we don't even allow them to go in with Bibles and Qurans because they can write things down, cram and say, our random number for this paper was XYZ. No, like for UCE, the papers are so many, you can't practically cram all the random numbers for the schools you want to cheat for.
Because the issue of examiners, some people were clinging on that, well, these
examiners... I could tell that is why that is the insinuation. That's what I'm clarifying. So we really, at that level, we are trying our best to control. We also have, we call the chain, the belt, the conveyor belt system of marking. The 5 of us are going to mark this candidate. Maybe you mark number 1, I mark number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Afterwards, we rotate. I look through number 2, you look through number 1, look through number. So realistically, the 5 of us who are randomly selected to mark these candidates cannot connive for purposes of giving extra marks or cheating for this particular school or something like that. So at that level, we really try our best. And honestly, our examiners, I want to commend them. They do a good job. Where I know they do a good job, you see what you see the cases of external assistants, they are still suspicion. It is still suspicion. So at that level, we do not tell them what reports we have. Like I was saying, I keep getting reports and everything, and we compile them. Now we keep our reports. When the examiners do their work, they also give us their reports. In most cases, when you have been to a center and there's been a suspicion, the examiners can tell, and they'll give us a similar report. That shows they are keen, they are interested, and they pay attention to the last detail.
Now with that random number you've talked about and that marking of 55, how will I know that these are papers from Buddo and I'm making a report that
you don't have to tell her, no, don't just tell, no, there's a pack and say, we know that 005 with the question we suspect. You report according to what is there. You don't have to tell her, because you also don't know if it's Buddo or not. But you just say, because we know history paper 2, because there's a seal and the random number or whatever, in this seal 005 or whatever, the suspect candidate XYZ, something like that.
So Jennifer, well, please, I beg that the questions may match the topic we're having today, because I'm seeing a number of them, how I lost my certificate and all this, apart from one who says how much more time is given to children with special needs.
Okay, fine. Children with special needs, we give them an extra 45 minutes. Some of them may need them, some of them may not. Children with special needs, actually, in most cases, they do need them. They need the extra 45 minutes. We give them extra 45 minutes. This time round, where we have candidates that were delivered during the time of examinations, we also categorize those as special needs. They are circumstantially
special needs.
Special needs. So we also give them an extra 45 minutes because they have to go and breastfeed, or if it's somebody in advanced stages of pregnancy, they have to keep going in and out. Not because we condone teenage pregnancy, but because we want to support them, want to provide a conducive environment for them. Briefly, as somebody who lost their paper, I know what it means to lose your document. Please go onto the UNEB website and go to e-services, download, and then you go to, you apply for verification of results. You need to have a letter from police, and you need to have a letter from your former school introducing you to UNEB. So you go and upload with your national ID or any recognized national recognized ID for the country. You upload that, you'll be given a payment code, and you pay 50,000 per level.
Well, that's said. Now, Jennifer, with your explanation, can we conclude that it is very hard today for a paper to leak? It is very hard to say that those that marked, the examiners, had a hand. Where we've remained with is a bit of external assistance and maybe some of the branded schools to be cheating. Actually, they are teaching very well, very excellent, and they're not habitual cheaters, as some may want to rank them.
I want to categorically put it. It's not just hard, it is impossible. A leakage would be touching Daniel Odong's up of his eye. No one touches Odong's eye. I can assure you, my boss, Daniel Nukrach Odong, nobody touches the apple of his eye, and nobody is going to touch the apple of his eye, not even for PLE. We already have whistleblowers. Oh, thank God. We want to thank God for all members of the public who have been very vigilant, who are telling us, giving us alerts here, giving us alerts here. Of course, we are on our, we are not seated. We know things, because as time goes on, people try coming up with innovations, and also us, we have our own innovations. We know people out there who are trying, who are trying to plan. We know of a region that is right now, actually, it's kind of like combined or something like that. The district authorities, the head teachers, they are collecting money right now, trying to see if they are going to get UNEP examinations. I don't know. Parents, if anybody asks you for money for facilitation for UNEP, just know you are getting to the racket of malpractice, and you can be apprehended. So
well, a quick one here. Is it in order during examination a policeman allowed to enter an examination room with a gun? Lastly, is it also UNEB, is it allowed for UNEB scout to enter a room while smoking? Thanks. This is Mukiri Joseph, Chairman SMC, Kitabona Primary School, Charumba SS in Kasese District.
Wow, that's not acceptable. We do not allow policemen to enter our security personnel are not supposed to enter the examination room. If they really must, then they should not even have those guns really. Because even where we have candidates where they are escorting them, we usually advise that we have somebody who is not uniformed. Reason being, these candidates need a conducive environment. Seeing a policeman come in here, even where we are right now, if a policeman came in here, you get disoriented. So really that is not supposed to happen. I don't know what happened, why that happened. Scouts entering with
smoking.
What? Oh my God. Please, definitely is going to be apprehended. They are not supposed to. You are not smoking. Already smoking in public is an offense according to the Tobacco Control Act. So already smoking, if you smoking within there, that is an offense. It's a closed environment. It is an offense. I'm going to follow up on that. And thank you so much for the heads up.
Well, Jennifer, we can take more time, but I have to give room to the sportsman, Ruben, to come and give us sports updates. In just a minute, your final remark.
Thank you so much. I would like to, first and foremost, to thank the parents. I want to thank the teachers, the candidates, everybody who has so far joined us. You've tried to contribute to the joint responsibility, and for that we are very grateful. As we prepare for PLE next week, we want to caution anybody, please do not indulge in any form of malpractice. Don't indulge in electronic sharing of what is purported to be a UNEP examination paper, because nobody is going to get it. However, if it's found on your phone, you will be found culpable for being in possession of unauthorized content. So please do not get involved. Otherwise, we want to thank God for the fact that He has brought us. We want to wish all our P7 candidates, senior 4 candidates all the best. As the rest of us kindly encourage them, pray with them, pray for them, wish them, tell them of their strength, give them a conducive environment, make sure they have some drinking water around, make sure they are feeding well, do whatever it takes to give them a conducive environment. To the candidates, I want to assure you, you have what it takes to pass. So just be confident, and the Lord will reward you genuinely. So please do not get involved in malpractice.
Well, success to all of them, and of course, these days success cards are the things they are giving. But
kindly, please do not monetize our assessment process. Please give them after. That's something we want to appeal
success cards. Have you seen of late?
Please do not monetize our assessment process. Honestly, you are trying to, you're trying to disorganize our learners. Now, if somebody cannot give me a gift of money, does that mean that I'm not worth sitting the examinations? I really wish somebody could stop this.
Is it my fault that for you can't afford that for my child? If I
do you have to show that to us on social media, for Christ's sake?
Really,
I'm also really, parents,
I just don't understand what is happening.
Let's leave our community. Let's be more.
The child will think of the money in the dormitory that they received.
You are disorganizing showing your candidate by that. Let's provide a simple, humble, and conducive environment for our learners to pass examinations. Please do not monetize our assessment process.
We must get out of here before Ruben holds me by the neck. See you in the next hour. Thank you so much, Jennifer,
Thank
for
you
your
so
time.
much for hosting
I know you
me.
have a busy schedule. I'll leave you with the sportsman. See you in the next hour. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Nibanyita kananye niyita Sezin Wagaba, commercial officer, Uganda District Government.
I am Sezin Wagaba, the commercial officer for Ntungamo local government. I express my gratitude to God for this platform and the Myuga initiative brought to us by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, as it has positively transformed the lives of the people in Ntungamo, whom I have known for a long time. When you visit the beneficiaries of this program, you can easily witness the significant positive changes in their lives. The audit report demonstrates that despite their leader being deaf and blind, profits are being made, highlighting how this program has actively involved every individual. Initially, we received 2,650 million Uganda shillings. Each constituency received 530 million Uganda shillings. I would like to express my gratitude to this platform for providing us with the opportunity to share information about the Myuga program. Our special thanks go to the President for initiating the program, and additionally, I would like to mention that there are numerous similar projects in Rubare and Ntungamo.
Good morning. My name is Ruben P. Machibirango, and I'm glad to be here this morning, away from Jennifer Kalule and Robert with exam malpractice. I know some schools, I will give information if the police comes to me. How can you have 70 first grades with 70 pupils? And you were schooled from somewhere in New York. Anyway, but I'm not here to discuss exams. I'm here to give you sports. That's not my docket is sports. Don't so go come here and tell you about exam malpractice. Don't Ruben. We'll start with the NBA basketball, where